What did I just watch? Hello, guys, and welcome to another honest review. This honest review is of The Flash. Also, happy Father's Day, by the way. Yeah, The Flash came out over the weekend, and it's probably the weirdest movie I have ever seen. Doesn't make it bad, doesn't make it good. It was really, really weird. Alright, for context, this is the second to last DCEU film coming out. Blue Beetle is not connected to the DCEU. It's actually connected to the DCU, James Gunn's DCU, as confirmed by him a little bit ago. And then there's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which I don't really care about. But The Flash was actually a movie I had wanted to see for a bit, even though there are controversies. I don't want to get into it, but let's just say that the star of the movie, Ezra Miller, has a history of legal troubles. That's all I will say. But after years of waiting, after 9 seasons of a TV show, which just ended, by the way, The Flash finally has a standalone film. Sort of, I'll get to that in a minute. Finally has a standalone film that was released on the big screen. And I've got very interesting thoughts about it. This is a spoiler review, so if you have not seen The Flash, go watch it. But it is one of the most bonkers movies you will ever see. Ever. So, in an adaptation of Flashpoint, we've got Barry Allen going back in time to save his mother from dying, so he doesn't have to feel the pain. But he accidentally sets off a Nexus event where some of the world's heroes don't exist, and General Zod from Man of Steel returns, and chaos ensues. Worlds collide. That's the plot of this movie. It's very minimalistic. It's very just sort of like a side note before you get into like the fan servicey stuff, which the fan service stuff for the most part is done pretty well. But I'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, the story actually does have a pretty decent changes to the Flashpoint story, but it's not what I would do. When I say that, it's not what I would do for a solo Flash movie. It's not what I would do for the Flashpoint adaptation. If you want a great Flashpoint adaptation, go watch the Flashpoint Paradox, which there's a Movie Central review that I did, #shameless plug, of that movie. So there you go. But like I like how they kind of made it its own thing. They didn't really use Flashpoint as a crutch. It has a few elements like an old man Batman, a big war between humans and metahumans, a time travel villain, a pretty emotional ending, and that's it, I guess. There's not much else to say, other than the fact that it was a ton of fun and had some heart to it. Of course, this is the time where I delve into the characters and stuff. So let's talk about Barry Allen. I got a bit of a Superman curl going on here. Kind of perfect for this review. So, Ezra Miller. Regardless of anything that's going on with them, I thought they did a great job because they're the heart of the movie. Yeah, Barry Allen is the heart of the movie, especially towards the end. I feel like they pulled off a really, really good performance as Barry Allen. Obviously, that's not much of a surprise. I loved Ezra Miller in Fantastic Beasts and in Zack Snyder's Justice League, where Barry Allen was a very well written character in my regards. He's got a little bit of a Justice League attitude toward him, which did kind of freak me out a little bit, but I feel like the movie's kind of aware of that because they introduce two Barrys into this movie. We have the actual Barry, the main Barry, and the younger, less experienced Barry. And I really liked that sort of chemistry that these two build throughout the course of the movie, especially because the younger Barry, the less experienced one, also turns out to be sort of like the villain of the movie. So the idea is that you can be your own villain. So it's man versus himself, which I like. That I kind of think that story beat works. Although I am much more of a fan of the Flash going after super criminals than an internal battle. But this worked out well. I think the story executing with this version of the character kind of worked well. But in regards to characters, the best character of the movie by far was Michael Keaton as Batman. Yeah, I don't think I need to say anything else about him other than the fact that he was consistently great throughout the movie. There were a ton of Batman 89 references, as you would expect. We did not get to see the Batmobile in action, which is unfortunate. We got the Batwing, though, and towards the end, there is a fight scene he has with a Kryptonian brute, which is the closest thing we will get to a Michael Keaton Batman versus Bane, I guess. But yeah, no, Michael Keaton as Batman was easily the highlight of the movie. He had the best action sequences. To me, the fight in the in like what Siberia is like somewhere in Eastern Europe when they were rescuing Supergirl. That scene was really well done. I feel like the fighting style was great. He threw batarangs. He fought classically, and he flew the Batwing around spectacularly. The suit is incredible. I dare say is the best live action Batman suits ever. Look at all the detail it had to look like the most comic accurate suit in regards to like black costumes. I guess it's very accurate to the original suit, but I think this suit is the best of Keaton's live action suits, and it's my favorite live action Batman suit ever. I think it works out pretty well. Speaking of Batman, we got Ben Affleck again as a lot more of a comic book Dark Knight with a blue cowl and cape. Thank you for finally giving us a blue cape and cowl on the big screen. I just hope that the DCU, James Gunn's DCU, and the Brave and the Bold bring us the gray and blue more fleshed out. I think Ben Affleck's Batman had a pretty cool action sequence as well. This is the very beginning of the movie. He's on the bike. And the good news about this, the director, Andy Muschietti, who directed this film and the It films, is going to be directing The Brave and the Bold. So we're going to get great Batman action sequences from him because he's demonstrated that he knows how to do a Batman action sequence. So Batman, Keaton, and Affleck were good. I think, Keaton was the better Batman, obviously, but, he was the Batman we had throughout the entire movie. That's why I came to see it. But, yeah, if you're a Batman fan like I am, you get a lot of Batman in this movie. So Sasha Calle as Supergirl. I liked her. I didn't love her. She didn't have a lot of screen time. She didn't have a lot of dialogue. She has a pretty cool fight with Zod. I liked her. She served her purpose well. It makes me feel kind of bad because we're not going to see her again in the role. But she did a great job for what she was given. All right, General Zod had little to nothing to do. Like, what the heck? One of my favorite parts of Man of Steel was how good Zod was, and I was excited to see what he would have done. He has one great fight scene with Supergirl, but that's about it. That's about the extent of it is. Like, there's no encounter with the Flash. There's no encounter with Batman. There's no encounter with younger Barry or even the Dark Flash. It was a little disappointing to see him reduced to this low. I mean, Michael Shannon has said that he wasn't proud of coming back either, so I'm not entirely blaming him. I feel like this is a last minute decision made on the writer's parts because Zod was the first DCEU villain. He turns out to be one of the last. It really comes full circle, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's about it. All I have to say for Zod. Same thing goes for Feora. I don't remember anything she did in this one. I can remember her scenes in Man of Steel, or some of them at least. But yeah. Speaking of Man of Steel, this movie actually makes the Snyder films better. It implies that Barry Allen was fighting during the Black Zero event from Man of Steel, which is awesome. I think that's a great call. It was a great idea. I actually saw Man of Steel in theaters when it first came out, so it's actually kind of cool to think about how we went from a Superman fighting to a very bright and flashy comic book film from the darkness. But it makes Man of Steel better because it implies that there were others trying to fight. Same thing for the opening of Batman versus Superman. I feel like those two, you have three heroes in the movie. So all around, it makes Man of Steel's climax a lot more fresh, and a lot better because it's not just Superman. It was really interconnected. So thank you for actually tying that together because that's actually a really neat detail. It also makes Zack Snyder's Justice League better because it confirms that this was the canon Justice League movie. Screw you, Joss Whedon. Your cut doesn't exist anymore. Snyder's cut is the canon one. So thank you for paying attention to that. Alright, I digress. I need to talk about Barry's parents, Henry and Nora. So Henry Allen is played this time by Ron Livingston. He was played by Billy Crudup in both Justice League cuts, but he was unavailable at the time, so they got Ron Livingston. The only things I've seen Ron Livingston in are Office Space, which I feel like is his most famous role, and Band of Brothers, where he plays Lou Nixon alongside Damian Lewis as Dick Winters. Go check out Band of Brothers. It's an excellent TV show. I feel like he did a good job. I loved that he looks a lot like Ezra Miller, and their chemistry was pretty good, and he did great with the emotional actings. So, Maribel Verdú, sorry if I butchered your name, plays Nora Allen, and she was like the sweetest thing. It was very sweet to see her interact with Ezra Miller's Barry, especially at the end. That last scene really got to me. That one, I'm like, you can tell that this is a mother who loves her son, and a mother who will do anything to make anybody feel better. I mean, I know that she didn't know that was Barry, but she did really well with her performance, I think. And I believe that it was hard for Barry to undo the sacrifice and undo her living, because he knows that how dangerous it is. So yeah. No, the parents they're pretty good. I think I would consider keeping if any actors from the DCEU. I feel like they could work out too. But that's just one man's opinion. Maybe not. Who knows? Who knows where they're gonna go from here? All right. I need to talk about the cameos. I would mention Iris West, but she doesn't really do anything. I could also mention Rudy Mancuso, who's in this movie, as one of Barry's like lab mates, and then like the other one. But I need to bring up the cameos. This is the spoiler side of it. So just pay attention to not that. Okay. So let's talk about every single character. My dog is being annoying. That cameos through CGI. George Reeves, the original Superman from TV, makes a cameo through CGI. Okay. Odd choice. But then there's also Jay Garrick in the middle, which people have said is Teddy Sears' Hunter Zolomon Jay Garrick design. Shut up! Sorry, my dog. I don't know if that is Teddy Sears. It could not be. It could be. I don't care. Jay Garrick is now in live action on the big screen. You also have a CGI version of Christopher Reeve's Superman and Helen Slater's Supergirl. Helen Slater also voices Talia al Ghul in Batman the Animated Series, but she played Supergirl in that one crappy live-action film that came out back in 1984, I think. Right out, it was before the Quest for Peace. I know that for sure. It was cool seeing them again. Mainly cool seeing Christopher Reeve because I got attached to that version of Superman, even if he's made of CGI. But we'll get to the CGI in a minute. Of course, Adam West's Batman makes a brief appearance. I was not thrilled about that. But the two that surprised me the most were the most obscure things you could pick. Nicolas Cage from Superman Lives makes a big screen appearance. That is so awesome. I was like, what? They didn't bring Nicolas Cage. Freaking Nick Cage, Superman, to the big screen. Actually, this is the second movie that has done this, and like the third reference we've gotten in like 5 years. The first was with Teen Titans Go to the Movies, where Nick Cage actually voices Superman. I'm assuming in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, a movie I haven't seen, but I might actually check out. There's a reference to that. And then, of course, he's finally realized in live action. And apparently he's not made of CGI. That's actually him, even though the de-aging effects look kind of inconsistent. Sorry, Disney wins in this one, Warner Brothers. Yeah, no. This is the craziest thing to me. Easily. Hold on just a minute. Alright, I think we're done. But the weirdest cameo, the most odd cameo, the one that actually made the audience clap, was none other than George Clooney, Bruce Wayne, making an appearance in the very last minute as a joke, as a nod to Batman and Robin, as a big middle finger to that era of it makes the Joel Schumacher Batman movies better. Can I say that? It makes the Joel Schumacher Batman movies a lot better than they were. I laughed so hard, and it really made me think, wow. On top of that, we also have a bunch of 80s references. This movie, I feel like, was supposed to be an homage to not just the entire DC cinematic lineup, somewhat, but also just the 80s time travel movie. It was sort of got the feel of Back to the Future, if you get what I mean. There's a very obscure reference that you'll only get if you're a BTTF fan, and that's Eric Stoltz plays Marty McFly in the alternate timeline. The original casting choice for Marty McFly was Eric Stoltz, but timing didn't work out, I guess. I don't know exactly what happened, but Michael J. Fox came in and replaced him, and is now the iconic BTTF casting. Just send this movie over to Robert Zemeckis, and you got yourself a money-making machine. Speaking of, Robert Zemeckis could have directed a Flash movie. Just saying. But they also said that Michael J. Fox was originally in for Kevin Bacon and Footloose, which I don't think is true. And Kevin Bacon was in for Tom Cruise as Maverick for Top Gun, which also I don't think is true. But that makes me wonder, who would Tom Cruise have replaced? Would he have replaced what? Replaced Kiefer Sutherland? Or no. He could have done Ralph Macchio in The Karate Kid. And then Ralph Macchio could have done Kiefer Sutherland in Stand By Me. I don't know. There's a whole Pandora's box that you could open up for this. But you know what? The love for this movie, this movie's love for 80s movies aside, I think it was a cute little reference. Now it's finally time to talk about the VFX. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard it. The CGI was really bad. I'm sorry, guys. I tried defending it, but I reflected on it. I'm like, yeah, this isn't great. The drawback of the effects come from the like time traveling sequences in which the faces look so like, I don't know, like looks so Robert Zemeckis motion capture, actually. Some people have been saying, oh, it looks like a badly made PS3 game. That's kind of sucky to say because some of the PS3 games hold up still. Like, go back and look at The Last of Us, even though that got a remaster. Go back and look at The Last of Us on the PS3, or Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City and Arkham Origins. Like, those games are all PS3 era games. You know, Uncharted 2, like, all of those games are PS3 games, and they look a lot better than the CGI doubles in this. I mean, I think it was supposed to look bad, so I'm not really complaining too much, but it was distracting. So was the baby shower sequence in which Barry was picking CGI babies up. It's not the worst looking CGI babies I've seen. I've seen a lot worse with CGI babies. Have you seen Son of the Masks baby? Or Thor Love and Thunder recently? That baby. Oy. God. Yeah. No. Just no. Not working for me. The best effects, though, come from Barry Allen running. I mean, even though it's like the weird skate thing, I don't care what you say. It looks cool. I love the lightning effects. My favorite VFX moment in the entire movie is definitely the final battle in Metropolis or in Smallville, wherever. There's the grassy field. It's like a ton of chaos. Batman's in the Batwing, and the Flashes are running, and Supergirl's beating the crap out of Zod. Like, that is a great looking CGI moment, to me at least. I mean, the subtler CGI looks are great. Like, the flying effects are standard for Supergirl, but the fact that they recreated the Batwing in CGI too, and the moonshot too, like, honestly, it's cool that a movie like this has great and bad CGI. Mainly great, though, I would say, is the better praise I can give. But therein lies the problem. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of time given to a lot of these more bigger budget movies. That's all I can really say about the VFX, that they just were hit and miss. I guess they never miss. The music was okay. The best parts of the music were when they remastered the themes from Batman 89. Like, I caught all of those musical cues. As I said, Batman was my favorite character in this movie. But other than that, it wasn't memorable. Benjamin Waldfisk, or however you pronounce his name, I'm sorry, is pretty good at what he does. I mean, I love the Shazam score, personally. But, yeah. No, it wasn't great. It wasn't particularly memorable, but I'll watch the movie and hopefully I'll remember it this time. Okay, action sequences. The opening action sequence, for the most part, was okay. I mean, the CGI babies were kind of crap. But, the Batman portion was great, too. Wonder Woman actually does show up, too, as I've said. There are a lot of cameos in this movie. Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman shows up for the final time. No purpose. I don't really care for Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman anymore, but I thought she was cool to see. But I feel like my favorite action scene comes from when the heroes go and rescue Supergirl, because that was when Michael Keaton's Batman got to show off all of his potential. But the final battle, to my genuine shock, was actually pretty good. I would consider it fun. I would consider it somewhat epic sometimes. And it works on a multitude of levels. It's also cool to see the berries fighting one another and the Dark Flash coming in. I love that design, by the way. It's really cool. So yeah, the action was good for the most part. Would watch the movie again for that. Yeah, I've been kind of flip-flopping between an 8.5 and an 8 out of 10 for The Flash. But I reflect on it. I'm like, yeah, it's good, I guess. I'm sort of leaning towards the okay route. I had a good time watching it, that's for sure. There are a lot of great things, but there are a lot of bad things too. So I think overall, and this is on the fly, by the way, so just don't get angry with me. And it could change very much. I think The Flash deserves a pretty decent score. I think it's a pretty decent closure for this version of Barry. So overall, solid C, 7.5 out of 10. That's all I can really say. Alright, well that's it for this honest review. I promise there's going to be more. But if you enjoyed it, please feel free to let me know. Also, I will be continuing on with Season 3 and promoting my Discord as well. So just stay tuned for that. Thank you. Goodbye.